Oh, hello everybody. Happy Sunday afternoon. I hope that you're all doing well and I've made the story and I've called it Hope Overcomes Fear, and I hope that you all enjoyed this story. Stunning mushrooms filled with multicoloured lights spread across a carpet of green grass. Lights laid out by friendly giants who came to admire the glowing lights. Although they knew that the little town and the little people existed, they and they did not realize that tiny people came to live in these lights, singing singing joyfully. Um, the the It filled the mini village as they came to live and work in their new homes and shops. King Stephen ruled over that town. He was but a friendly giant who just wanted to stand and stare at the town for another 5 or 10 minutes to breathe in the sheer beauty of the lights. Singing was heard while the little people danced around the lights, sounding off their beautiful melodies and hymns, and the choirs of the children in the cathedral. The joy would never end. Across the road, swans who could change their light colours swam over the beautiful enchanted lakes. However, beyond the lights there was a darkness crawling among the dark, sinister trees of the night, and their deadly whispers. We will destroy the happy village, and even the whole beautiful world. We will destroy the harmony between the little people and the creatures and the friendly giants. King Stephen sensed something was happening in the whispers and screams around the trees, but he was not certain to what it was. One very loud squeak sounded off. It caught the attention of all the little people who lived among the lights. One of the little people, a little girl named Azara, cried, "We must go and see who is crying. It sounds like an animal in distress." But her father ordered, "No, don't go. Stay in the safety of the lights." The girl replied, "No, we cannot. We cannot stay, for we have to help this animal in distress." King Stephen bowed down to reach the tiny people's level. "Your dad is right. It would be a very dangerous task. One little girl on her own could not be powerful enough to fight the darkness," Azara said. "But just one of us and our light can light up all the darkness around." King Stephen smiled. "I love how you are brave and not afraid, but we still need others to help. So order so I will choose 4 people from humans and 4 people from the light people to find the most powerful man, woman, boy and girl to help you all in. So all in all there's 8 of you all together." Azara smiled. "I am the most powerful light little girl." King Stephen smiled. "Indeed you are." And then asked then he asked Zane, who was Azara's dad's, permission to venture if Azara could venture the dark forest with him and the rest to go with her. Zane reluctantly nodded his head. So out of the light people, Zeke, Zora, Yao, and Azara was chosen. There was 4 giants chosen, which are really human beings, and their names were of John, Linda, Daniel, and Nancy, who all had black pelts in all the different martial arts. The human little girl Nancy, knelt down to pick tiny Azara in her hands and smiled. "Cute, but I'm not sure how they will be able to protect our world. They're so small," Azara exclaimed. "Well, I might be small, but that does not make me powerless. Let me show you something." A tree that was old and dying suddenly burst into flames after Azara suddenly flew very quickly around it. Nancy, with her jaws gasped, said, "Wow, how did you do that?" Azara giggled. "It is the light inside of us, but that is not all that I can do," Nancy chirped in great excitement. "What else can you do?" Azara laughed. "Make a creature big or small, so dizzy that he or she will lose their mind." "But how?" Nancy asked in excitement. "We cannot give away these secrets, for now we have something far more important to do. We need to venture into the deep dark woods and find the poor creature that's in distress." King Stephen led the group of 8 warriors into the unknown creepy dark. As they reluctantly entered into and through the atmosphere all around felt depressing and uninviting. Not only could they hear just one creature in distress, but many voices, and the ghostly mist surrounded them. None of the trees grew fruit, all lay bare as if they had been cursed. John the leader did not like the fact that King Stephen led them into a weird place. He thought it was very irresponsible of him, especially being a king. John snapped, "How could you bring us into these deadly woods? We are all going back." Azara pleaded, "No, we cannot go back, for we must save those poor creatures in distress." Zeke, the leader of the light people, said, "Azara is right. We cannot be such cowards and go back now." John replied, "It is not a matter of being brave, but saving ourselves, and we must stay out of the other creatures' problems anyway, so the evil will not follow us into our world." Linda, the human lady, spoke up. "King Stephen, Azara and Zeke is right. I mean, how would you feel if if your son or daughter was in need of help, but everyone left?" John sighed. "Fine, I guess you are right. But did we even get here? As I remember, the woods looked dark, but not as dark as this, or as creepy as this." King Stephen sighed. "We are no longer in our own world." "But then, how did we get here?" Stephen said. "Once I was visiting other worlds. I took I took a part of this tree back to Earth. When I took a tree back, and then I planted that twig back on Earth, and on Earth it grew strong, big, healthy. However, ever since it's made it's made a doorway or a portal between the two worlds." "Why did you bring us in this dreary place?" moaned Daniel, the human boy. But before anyone could answer this question, the sound of the creature crying could be heard. It was the sound of a desperate sadness, so much more opposite than the peoples of Light's village, who always had the sounds of joy resounding off all day long. From out of nowhere, some hideous creatures appeared from out of the bushes that could only be seen because the tiny light people acted like torches that flickered in the dark and gave off a little light. Creatures with heads that resembled pigs, with long black horns coming out of each side of their heads, and they could walk upright like a human, but had their teeth like a lion's, and sharp claws like the lion's claws. Their fingers were like humans, but had some very sharp claws growing out of the end. The 4 humans and 4 light people huddled close to each other to form a close circle. One of the hideous creatures roared as they began to get closer to those who formed the circle. There were many of those hideous creatures just enclosing in on the circle. Those in the circle grew more fearful, but the more afraid they felt, the more dangerous the hideous creatures would appear to them. Then the hideous creatures that roared like a lion spoke up. "What business do you have coming to our world?" King Stephen spoke up. "Sir, I am the king of the world of humans and light people. We had a creature in distress coming from the dark, creepy woods." "How is that possible that you should hear a creature in distress from your world, for we are in 2 different worlds?" asked the hideous creature. King Stephen replied, "I know that it seems impossible, but I have travelled to your world before, and someone gave me a gift of your beautiful stones. When I got back to our own world, I lost one of these beautiful stones, but I cannot find the stone in the creepy forest back to our own world because back in our own world they turned into ordinary stones. But one fell out of my pocket. It is the back in the creepy wood somewhere. But it's like finding a needle in the haystack if I ever find it. And everyone knows that if you take an object from another world, that it has also the power to give one visions and dreams into the world that it came from once it's been touched, or it can even send you back. The object can even send you back into the world that it came from in the first place. But one will never know where or which stone caused us to come back into your world, for its effect can happen any time after being touched, sometimes immediately, or other times up to even 2 days afterwards. The creatures roared, "Stop talking now. I don't care how you come here, because nobody is meant to come here. We just want to be left alone." King Stephen snapped, "No one will not leave you. No, we will not leave you alone. If you are doing something cruel to some innocent creatures," the ugly beast bellowed. "Very well. In that case, we will tie you up and throw you into the dungeons." He continued and gave the command to the rest of the ugly creatures, "Seize them!" The gang of 8 then got into a fight with the nasty creatures. The 4 humans used their martial arts and brought down a few of the nasty beasts. The light people flew a few, blew up a few of the nasty creatures with their lights, making some of the creatures spontaneously combust. They also made a few of them turn mad by flinging themselves down pits. And they flung themselves down pits with water at the bottom, and they drowned themselves in the bottom of the pit once they hit the bottom. But there were too many of the hideous creatures to fight against them all, so the horrid creatures tied the gang of 8 up and led them through the dark, creepy forest. At the end of the forest stood a massive stone building. It looked like an ancient but abandoned building. Its walls were very high. Nancy touched the walls, which felt extremely cold but dry. The creature snorted, "Keep your dirty, filthy hands off, child." Then there was a huge iron door, which was rusty and worn out and old. The creature walked up, and 2 of the hideous creatures who guarded the door let them in. It creaked, and trembled so very loud that it would be painful for any ear to hear. They then got led inside. The building at first seemed empty with no light. However, although they could see the light coming from the light people, many of the voices of crying and sadness could be heard. As the gang got led forward, it seemed as they were walking forever. Inside the building was also humongous and big. In fact, it looked as it could take all of eternity to reach the end of the building. Eventually, a light came on, and the most hideous-looking creature sat upon a huge solid stone as big as a house, and it was like a throne made out of solid stone. The creature resembled that of all the other hideous creatures, except this one was even more ugly than the rest. He sneered, roared, and snorted, "How dare you come into our world without an invitation and destroy some of my brother and sisters?" Nancy snapped, "Well then, they should have not tried to kill us, and they should not be tormenting these innocent creatures of your world. And for your record, you are the most ugly looking creature that I have ever seen in my life." Daniel snapped, "Nancy, do be quiet, or you will make the creature more angry, and we will turn out to be their midnight snack." But the creature just laughed and mocked. "Well, thank you. I should take that as a compliment. Yes, I am evil. Yes, I am ugly, just the way I love myself to be." While he was hissing and giggling and laughing out loud, He caused a light to fall into a cold, dark room in the ghastly building. The light lit up the room so that they could see what was going on. Two of the hideous creatures were standing holding what appeared to look like a rabbit, but with the bodies, arms, legs, hands, and feet of a man. Each hideous creature was tormenting the poor rabbit man by hitting him and burning him with candles. Oh, the poor rabbit man screamed again. Oh my gosh, poor rabbit man, Azora and Nazi cried in unison. The evil creature sitting on the throne cackled. Let's now drown him in the acids of complete fear and despair. All of the other creatures rattled their cages to get out. Some of the creatures had hands and bodies of every kind of animal, from a mouse to an elephant, with human hands, arms, legs, and feet. But other creatures were the same as the earth creatures, with their own arms, legs, feet, and hands. No wonder why the building was so big, as thousands, maybe millions of creatures were locked inside them. Nasty cells, and of the nasty rooms of the nasty building. Two of the hideous pig creatures brought the rabbit man to the hideous pigman king. The rabbit man pleaded, "Please, sir, spare my life. I have children." But the hideous creature laughed and mocked. Poor rabbit man cried. Linda, Nazi, and Azara in unison, and Daniel said, "Poor rabbit man, sorry," cried Linda, Nazi, and Azara in unison. Daniel said, "Yeah, and the stink of that acid is the most terrible smell that I've ever smelt in my whole life." "Oh, shut up," snapped the creatures, "or you will be put in the acids of complete and despair too. Fear and despair too." Two children rabbit humans cried. "Please leave our daddy alone," John snapped. "Leave the poor creature alone, as he has children that need him too." The evil pigman mocked. "He is not a man, he's just a rabbit." "Nobody cares about small animals." "Yes, they do," yelled Azora, Daniel, and Nancy snapped in unison. All of a sudden, a little, very pretty parrot girl by the name of Pearl shouted, "Come on, everyone. There is no need to be afraid of this man king, for we all know his name is fear." She then asked, "But what is the opposite of fear, everyone?" A little puppy boy shouted to reply, "Hope!" "Exactly," chirped Pearl. "Don't you see that all along these creatures have been instilling fear into us, which is the same. It's no wonder why the hideous creatures have the same name, and that the Pigman King is called Fear. And the other creatures, hideous creatures, are also known and named as either despair, hopelessness, sadness, hate, pride, envy, selfishness, anger, bitterness, depression, and failure. And no other name is given to them. We have to rise up against them with hope, faith, joy, love, gratefulness, selflessness, patience, friendliness, happiness, and successfulness. Yes, for all of their negativity, we can rise up positiveness, and that can overcome the dark we can overcome the dark by using the light. Fear grunted, "Stop. No, please do not." But all the other creatures in the prisons, who were once locked in by fear, suddenly started to sing praises, rejoice, and resound joyful songs that echoed throughout the buildings. "Stop it! Oh, do please be quiet!" snapped Fear. Fear then had his grip of the rabbit man loosened by the joyful songs of the creatures, because it was driving him crazy, so he loosened the rabbit man to stick his fingers in his ears. "Oh, how I hate the joyful singing," complained Fear. Helen mocked, "Fear, Actually, oh, how joyful singing is music to the heavenly angels' ears, and how it attracts the most beautiful angels to come and see us. Suddenly, a beautiful looking angel, the most beautiful looking angel, appeared. She stood tall and had a golden ribbon tied in her beautiful long curly yellow hair. Her robe was whiter than snow, that even shone bright. Within her wings sparkled blues, pinks, golds, and silver. She lit up the whole building and brought along with her all the other light people back from the light village on earth. The angel smiled to show all of her pearly white teeth off, all brightly lined in the perfect line. We have come to set this world free, she smiled. The light people joined in with the joyful singing. The joys rose up as high as the highest heavens. By this time, Fear and his fellow creatures were going mad. The glorious angel flung open each cage one by one, letting out each and every creature that once had been imprisoned. King Stephen stood with his jaws open, just lovingly and soakingly in loving and soaking in the joyful singing and the beautiful angel. All the animals were happy to be set free again. The rabbit man's children and wife flung into each other's arms as he swung them in such joy. As for Fear and his gang, well, they become so crazy that they all ran outside of the building. Next to the building was a huge lake, and they all ran crazily into that lake, and each and every one of them drowned, never to be seen again. Suddenly a huge bright light came upon the world. In a distance, standing upon a rock, stood a huge lion. But this lion was no ordinary lion, for it was far bigger and at least 10 times the uh, um, size bigger than an average lion, and upon each side of its body it had wings that resembled massive, huge butterfly wings. John, Daniel, Linda, and Nancy felt a little afraid, but Zeke, Zuri, Yael, and Nazara felt no fear whatsoever. The beautiful angel seemed to know that the four humans were a little afraid, so she turned to them and gently smiled. My dear children, there is no need to be scared. After all, remember, fear is a negative emotion. In fact, you should not even feel a little nervous, because you already know this creature after all. Linda asked, We do? Yes, replied the beautiful angel. Nancy asked, Well, who is he? And for a matter of fact, who are you? The beautiful angel smiled and said, My name is Hope, Grace, and Faith. But his name is even greater. Yes, his name is Love. He is your ultimate creator, the one who lives inside you and who never leaves your side. He has come to make all things new. They all turned to each other smiling. What happened next was so beautiful. Love flew all around the world and breathed away all the darkness, cold, ugliness, dirt, awful smells, and it was replaced instead with light, comforting warmth, beauty, cleanliness, beautiful scents, beautiful sceneries. Where there was no life, through him all life had thrived again. Rivers, oceans, and lakes that were filled with the acids of despair now got replaced instead with the new fresh waters. Trees and flowers bloomed like never before. The dreaded cold dry building now stood as a golden palace, with beautiful things inside it, from greenhouses filled with trees, flowers, and fountains, to swimming pools, cinemas, and mini theme parks. All were invited to come inside and enjoy the pleasures within it. In the middle now stood a large marble table with much good food on it, from breads, cheeses, fruits, nuts, salads, snacks, chips, potatoes, cakes, gateaux, ice creams, and all foods of all different kinds. Yet everything on the table was healthy and had no calories in it at all. So all who came inside could feast before doing something of excitement within that palace. Love was pleased and saw what he made was good. Never again did anything or anyone evil or negative come into that world or the world of earth. King Stephen was made king in that world. He reigned in love, kindness, faith, hope, and hope forever. King Stephen was now the king in that world and in the light town back on earth. King Stephen again stood still for 5 minutes, both in the world and in the light town, to soak up its lights, and under his rule everything and everyone lived happily ever after. Best of all, he never forgot that day that he met Love, who is our ultimate creator. He was then in the form of a lion with butterfly wings. Yet we do not know this. Yet we do not. Sorry. Yet we do know that the ultimate creator can appear in any form that he wishes at any time. And that's the end. And I hope you all enjoyed and was blessed by that. And God bless you all. Bye.